Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Peace and blessings to everybody. I hope you guys are doing well today, and I wanted to talk to you guys about why God isolates you guys. So let's get into it. Um, for me personally, the isolation was the best thing that ever happened to me, and it taught me a lot of stuff. It made me see things differently, and it gave me a lot of knowledge and stuff like that. So the first thing is God will isolate you to cut off all distractions. So there's a time in your life there was a time in my life where I wasn't really focused on God. I don't want to say I didn't believe in him, but I didn't think he was really working in my life. So I had all these distractions. Like back then, I was smoking weed. I was doing a lot of things I wasn't supposed to do, and it was the things I was doing was taking me farther away from God, and the people I was hanging around with. It's just, But one day, he snapped and changed my whole life, and he isolated me. Once he isolated me, it literally cut off all my distractions. It was just me and him in the moment, and ever since then, it hasn't changed, and I really appreciate him for that. So, you guys, like, once he starts cutting off your distractions, like, you won't even be. One of my distractions was video games. I used to play video games 16 hours a day, It was that, smoking weed, and eating a lot of food, But it those three habits, it distracted me from seeing like the real world. Like I wouldn't go to family events, I wouldn't hang out with my friends, I wouldn't do a lot of things. But once he like separated me from all of that stuff, it was truly a blessing. And the next thing, God will separate you so you won't fall into the same temptations. So, for example, like, have you ever had an addiction? It could be, tobacco, weed, it could be alcohol, anything. And the moment that you decide to finally quit, you have somebody hit your phone, or you have some random person come up to you, and they're like, "Oh, you wanna take some of this? You wanna drink? You wanna smoke something?" It's just another temptation, and God will remove you from all of that, because He'll give you the Holy Spirit, and you'll be able to decipher like what the person's intentions was, or you'll be able to tell like, oh, this is not for me anymore. And every time you quit something, the devil will come and attack you and try to make you come back to your sins. So always be careful of that, and always be mindful of that. The third reason why God separates you is because he will give you wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. So, anytime you come out of a situation, out of a problem, it could be relationships, it could be, something with your money, it could be a self problem. Every time you come out of a problem in general, you always get wisdom. You always get knowledge from the problem that happened. You always know how to move around if it ever happened again. Or, you can use that wisdom to help other people, which, God has done that for me. When he separated me, he gave me a lot of wisdom. So, I'm just trying to share it with you guys, and I hope it affects somebody. But realize this: when you're alone, when you feel alone, when you feel like nobody is there for you, just know that God is working in your life, and he's going to give you, to me, I call them superpowers, because without them, I wouldn't be the person I am today. But he will give you powers, and you're going to be able to change a lot of people's lives. And he's going to change your lives before he's going to change your life before you can change anybody else's. So when you're feeling alone, stuff like that, just know he's working on you. Next, he separates you because you start to rely on him more. So when I was in this phase, I literally lost everything. Like, it was just, he separated me from my family, my friends, everything. It was just me and him at this point. And this is when I knew, like, I had nobody else to rely on. I had to give my life to God. And once I said, once I started praying and I said, God, I give my life to you and I want you to work through me, that's the only person I had to rely on. And ever since then, he's blessed me so much. And he's really showed me, like, your life can change in a second. And many people don't really have that in their minds. Like, well, people do have it in their minds, but they don't think it could happen to them. And I want you to know it could happen to you. And it might happen to you. It could happen to you in 30 seconds. It could happen to you in a minute from now. It could happen to you a month from now. It could happen to you a year from now. But just know that it could happen at any time, and you need to be prepared. And the best thing for you is to build your relationship with God, because he's the only one that can help you out of the dark spot that you're in. And, you can't do it alone. So he separates you to build a better connection with God and you. And it's the best thing in the world, to be honest, because he'll start showing his blessings through you, and he'll start sending people your way. He'll start sending other friends that you needed, and he'll give you better opportunities. So just keep that in mind when you're going through this situation, and realize that you was never alone. And so later on, once you've been alone for a little bit, he'll start to show you your purpose in life. And your purpose could be anything. A lot of people, their purpose is helping other people. So, like, for me, I'm giving advice to everybody. I think that was always my purpose, though, because God blessed me with wisdom at a very young age. And, I was able to help a lot of people with just giving advice, or they just ask about, what I think about certain things. But when you're on your journey, when you're alone, you cut off all your distractions. He's basically transformed you into a different person, right? You don't do the same things as you did, let's say, a year ago. You're not the same person you was a year ago. If you're obedient and you have your relationship with God, he'll start to show you your purpose in life. And a lot of people don't know what their purpose is, but it's always with your passions, and it's always what makes you feel good, right? So keep that in mind when you're alone. And lastly, you'll start to gain an understanding of what God can do in your life. You'll start to see this right at the beginning, when he takes you away from everything, and you'll see this again in the middle of your journey, when you're not all the way to where he wants you to be, and then you'll see this at the end of your journey, where you've got out of that dark hole you was in when you first started, when you was first building your relationship with God. And it just gets better from there. Like, for me personally, how he worked in my life, it's amazing how, like, he can change you from being one thing, and he can make you completely different. Like, if I could compare myself from 2021, because that's when my whole life changed. If I could compare myself to then to now, it's like I'm literally a whole different person. Like, it's so insane. And I couldn't believe, if you had to tell me the things that he would do in my life from back then, I probably wouldn't believe you. But that's the whole point of this separation, where the whole point of the separation is to build a better connection with God, and to really get to know what you're here on this earth for, what he created you for. And that's where I'm gonna leave you guys off today. Please, stay in touch with God, stay in touch with yourself, and just realize that God can use you for anything, and he has a good purpose for you in your life. And don't give up on him, because he's always watching you, and he'll always be here for you. So peace and blessings. I hope you guys have a good day, and be safe out here.